Luck is not just chance. It can be influenced by intentional actions. And one of the sources of luck is getting insights first before others do. Of the dozens of automations I've built, there's actually only one that really increased my luck. And today I'm going to show you why and how it works and how you can set it up. So I quit my job as a management consultant 6 months ago and set out to run my own AI agency. It is a very risky move, and so I figured I might try to maximize my luck through AI automations. But what I didn't anticipate was that this one simple AI automation would lead me to a strategy that would provide me a source of passive income to sustain my runway. This workflow involves using Reddit. Everyone can benefit from this, no matter if you're a student, employee, or business owner. It essentially watches any amount of subreddits and pings you when there is a high signal post. The use cases are infinite. For example, if you want to learn about AI, you can literally subscribe the workflow to all AI subreddits, and then every time when there's a high signal post, you will be notified. Or let's say if you're looking for a job in a new industry, this workflow would allow you to keep up to date with industry latest news and the highest signal posts that goes on within those industry niches. Now, let's say you're a business owner. As long as your customer congregates on Reddit, this tool is a goldmine for you because it lets you save time and serve your customers better by constantly monitoring what your customers are saying, whether it's pain points, unmet needs, or everything in between. Now, that is true alpha right there, right? Because you can then now use that to write your next advertisement, to brainstorm your next product feature, etc. It doesn't just stop at customer review. You can also use this to inform how you want to innovate your products. For example, if you're interested in integrating AI into your product, you can always keep a watch out on AI subreddits and know about the latest trends and innovations within AI, which would be useful to be integrated within your product. Now this is where the magic happens. The end result is getting a summary for each high signal post from subreddits of your choice. And this isn't fixed to Gmail. You can very easily configure it to any platform, whether it's Slack, Telegram, etc. Alright, so on a high level, this workflow is essentially made up of 4 nodes. The first is the time trigger, and this is where we can decide if you want to receive the digest daily, weekly, monthly, etc. And then on each of those period, what time do we want to receive the digest? In my case, I've set it to daily, about 6 a.m. in the morning. And so what this does is every morning at 6 a.m. when I wake up, I'll see in my inbox a bunch of high quality, high signal subreddit summarized posts, right? And then the second note here is essentially setting the subreddits that you're interested in to scrape. And in my case, I'm using this workflow to monitor startup subreddits. And so what I've done here is set a bunch of subreddits that I know has high quality posts. For example, we have Y Combinator, we have Entrepreneur Ride Along, etc. And so if you're familiar with your space and the kind of subreddits that usually produces high quality posts, make sure to include them in this list as well. And then the third note is getting and extracting all of the high quality posts within each of the subreddits that you have set, and then finally sending them to your Gmail. And here it doesn't necessarily have to be Gmail. In my case, that's what I prefer. But if you prefer Slack, Telegram, feel free to configure to your preference as well. Now, of course, behind each of these nodes, these are essentially sub-workflows, and there's a whole workflow that is powering it, which looks like this. I don't plan on covering these today, but if you like what you're watching and you're curious about how these sub-workflows are built, I'll be making a few part series where I'll be talking in detail about how each sub-workflow is built, and then subsequently how each of these nodes will be set up, and then how you can connect them back to the main workflow, which is this. And just to give you a little bit more context about how this workflow actually works, so if you click into this set node right here, we can see that there is this cutoff time and also cutoff score. And this is where we can decide how far back of the post that we want to scrape. Let's say if we are scraping our post every day, then we can essentially say that the cutoff time in terms of when this post is posted can be in the last 24 hours, which is what I've done here. And then the cutoff score here is essentially saying how many upvotes are there for a particular post. So in my case, I've set 15, meaning I would only scrape for posts that has an upvote of 15 or higher. And so using this, I can make sure that any post that I scrape would be something that has people's attention, hence it correlates to a higher signal post. And you can see that these two variables will then be passed into this node here, which is getting the Reddit threads itself. Right, we can see cutoff time and cutoff score, and also the subreddits. And so what it does here is for each subreddit, it will scrape all the posts in, let's say, the last 24 hours. And then let's say we have 100 posts, then it would filter those down to the posts with only a cutoff score of 15 and above. And so we're making sure that we are only summarizing high signal posts. And so when we go through our digest, eventually, we don't have to read a long list of irrelevant posts. If there's enough demand for this video, I'll be making a part 2 next week. So make sure you leave a like or subscribe to the channel so that I know there's a demand for this video. And also make sure you join my SKOOL community if you want to be updated the moment the next part is released. Alright, that's all for this video. Thank you so much, guys. Peace.